been a while since I've done a top 10, and today's one, I'm surprised I've never done it before. Today we're looking at the top 10 movie villains of all time. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Share your picks for the best movie villains of all time. As always, my list is not the right list. It's just my list. And in the case of a top 10, there's some absolutely classic villains that won't be in here that are some of your favorites that are absolutely classic villains, but for whatever reason, I don't connect with the movie, I don't connect with the character, so I can't with integrity include them in my list just so that I have the people that are supposed to be there. This is my list. Also, there is a companion video to this over on Patreon with 10 more of my picks for the best movie villains of all time. So some of your favorites that aren't in this video will be in that video over there. This video was actually pitched to me and selected by my supporters over on Patreon. If you like my YouTube channel, want more videos like that companion video or a whole bunch of live streams, consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. For as little as $2 per month, you get access to all the exclusive live streams and hundreds of past videos and live streams that I've done over there. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. And at the top tier, you can do a one-on-one 30-minute video chat with me every month you're a supporter at that level. I've got a weekly Q&A that's 90 minutes long. I have a box office show over there, and we're doing one called Reaction Time a couple times per month. If you enjoy the channel, want more content, consider joining over there. Also, join and you get that companion video with 10 more of my picks of the best villains of all time. And let's get started. Kicking off our top 10 is Koba from Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I adore the trilogy of Planet of the Apes movies from the last decade. And a big part of that is that they truly have like dramatic depth to them. And they give they do all this character work with the apes to make them fantastic characters. So Caesar's kind of my favorite character of the last decade, and the counterbalance to that is Koba, where very early on they established Koba as what if Caesar had just been tortured his whole life? Whereas Caesar is raised by a loving family that adores him, and mistakes are made, and like there's all sorts of things which he feels betrayed, but he's seen the best of humanity. He's seen people actually love him and care about him and try to protect him in their flawed ways. And then there's Koba, who those same exact years was just tested on and basically tortured and then given intelligence. And so he's never experienced love from humans, and he's been taught hate. And this causes this gigantic, like you see it in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. You see all the start of the differences between the two of them, the rage, the anger, the bloodlust. It's all in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And then you jump forward and you see where this takes you as Caesar is trying to cautiously lead and have peace. And Koba only wants war, and he wants blood. And he doesn't even care if it costs apes their lives. Whereas Caesar's ultimately is, I want apes to flourish. That's my ultimate goal. And probably working with humans is the way to make that happen. I don't trust them, but I want to work with them because that's how we'll all flourish. And they're not all bad. I know that. They're all bad, but they're not all bad. And Koba would rather apes die and lie about them, kill Caesar. Like, he'd rather do all of this if it means that he gets to kill humans and have war with humans. Because the hate is and it's just like the contrast. It's like such a great villain that he kind of is pure evil, despite being an ally to our hero for 10 years. But they reach that point where the evil just comes out, but it was fully earned. Number 9, Scar from The Lion King. I've said it many times before. The Lion King is my favorite animated film of all time. And to that point, the songs, the plot, the music, and the villain, I think, are all top notch. And so much of what makes it great is that Scar isn't the villain over there. He's not this distant outside force that you're afraid of coming in. He was right there, quite literally the family member amongst all of them. giving advice to Simba, and all along just hating Mufasa, and scheming and plotting against them, and just waiting for his moment. And there's just something so evil and nefarious about all of that he would just sit there so close, plotting the demise of everyone. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. I just want power. I don't care what happens to you. Your family, friend, nephew, I don't care. And just so manipulative. It's not just that he kills Mufasa. He makes Simba, like, blames it on, like, in the sense of not just framing him to the others, to Simba, to, like, crush his soul. Like, what did you do? Just like to a child, convinces a child that they killed their own father. Like, so dark and nefarious, and so Scar. Number 8, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, Hannibal, Manhunter, and that other one that we won't count. But what's so fascinating about Hannibal Lecter is, while he is the most famous cannibal in cinematic history, he's not actually the villain of these movies. He is a villain. You can't say he's not. And I debated whether I should include him in the list for that reason. But in Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, Manhunter, Red Dragon, there's someone else's that's the actual villain in those films, that's kind of driving things, that's our actual antagonist. And he's like the side character in a lot of those movies that is the mentor guiding people and helping them along the way on their quest to stop the actual villain of the story. And of course, in the case of Silence of the Lambs, the true masterpiece of the franchise, he doesn't even have very much screen time. And that's kind of what what makes him so incredible. As a character with very limited screen time that is not the villain of the film. Buffalo Bill is the villain of that film. And he's just so compelling. His intelligence, his charm, and then like the uncanny valley of the soul, where he's almost human, he's almost charming, he's mesmerizing in his own way, but he is just so off and perfectly creepy all of the time. And just, Anthony Hopkins, there's a reason that this just skyrocketed his career. And so it was limited time. Side character is the most, he's the face of it, because he was so good and so perfect at playing this bizarre mix of characteristics that have compelled people for all these decades and made them want to tell all these other stories, where once again, he still doesn't even need to be the main character or the main villain to still be the most villainous. Who taught you about money growing up, and how did those lessons prepare you or not prepare you for the real world? Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns Early. April is Financial Literacy Month, the perfect time to start teaching your kids the value of money. And Acorns Early makes it easy with their Smart Money app and debit card for kids. Acorns Early's Chores Tracker teaches kids that hard work pays off. As someone with 3 kids, this is exactly what we've been looking for, where you can set up tasks in the app, set up payment amounts, and then just check off a chore once it's complete. Savings Goals helps kids turn saving into a habit. This allows kids to choose a date for things that they're saving for, and it has an auto-save option if they're interested. Kids get a new sense of independence when they spend what they earn with their very own debit card. And with the debit cards, there's 35 plus different customizable options. Plus, kids can build up their money knowledge and their confidence with bite-sized financial lessons. The Acorns Early app has a bunch of interactive and fun courses to teach kids all about money. Ready to help your kids grow money skills that will last a lifetime? Head to acornsearly.com/Sean Chandler or download the Acorns Early app to get started. Sign up now. Your first month is on us. Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank. Member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. TNCs apply. Monthly subscription fees starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Real quick, the next one I'm going to talk about contains spoilers for the movie Unbreakable. They're pretty public for a lot of different reasons because the movie came out 25 years ago by now. But if you haven't seen the movie, it's fantastic. It's by far my favorite. It's my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. And if you don't know everything that happens in it and you're interested in his movies, just skip ahead because this messes things up for the movie. Number 7, Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. Now, as I just said, I absolutely love the movie Unbreakable. And so much of that is that it's just this very unexpected, subversive, in the great way, exploration of becoming heroes and villains and friendship, where the story is about kind of a friendship forming between these two characters, where in many ways Samuel Jackson's character is mentoring and helping our hero become a hero and unleash his potential. But at the center of everything kind of going on with that is that he's actually Mr. Glass, this supervillain. And we're looking at these two different creatures on polar opposites, the one that can't break and the one that is broken by everything, and how that shapes them into who they become and how each of them find their purpose. There's something that's so compelling in that, and like following along throughout the story, that you have this man that literally and metaphorically is so broken because of how he was born, that he would go to any length, no matter how villainous and evil, to know that he wasn't a mistake. To me, that is so profound. And like the sadness that he has at the end of that film, and how sadness and happiness that he has at the exact same time at the end of the film as he's revealing everything to David. I just think it's so profound. Like, a lot of people find the end of the movie anticlimactic, and on paper, I understand what you're saying. I can understand it. I think it's just a fantastic end of the film, because the culmination is David becomes the hero and discovers who he is. And the final epilogue is the reveal of what we've really been watching all along and what really was behind all of it. And it's not about stopping the supervillain. It was about discovering who you are and your purpose.
Now that you know who you are, I know who I am. I'm not a mistake.
And that's what ultimately happens in the final scene of all of this. I think it's beautifully done. Number 6, Magneto from the X-Men films, specifically in the prequel trilogy with Michael Fassbender. And this Magneto, or just Magneto in general, very much kind of falls into the Koba Caesar sort of dynamic, where it's two people that are friends that have worked together, but that have gone down very different paths with, of course, Magneto and Professor X. And this is one of the reasons I just love First Class. And then even in the flaws of some of the follow-ups to it, the high point is almost always Michael Fassbender and what they do with Magneto, of just making this utterly tragic character that was quite literally raised in Nazi concentration camps, where he saw just the absolute worst of humanity and had everything he loved taken from him as a way to exploit that he was a mutant, and saw this all around him. And that shaped him. That they are creatures of war, of power, and they will never understand us. They will always try to control us. But we're the evolution. We're better than them. Why would we let them control us? Like, there's a worldview there that from the pain that he experienced, you understand. And they keep finding ways to go back to that. Like, X-Men Apocalypse, I think is a deeply flawed film. Inside of it is a great Magneto mini-film, short film, about him trying to get away, trying to run from all of it. And he can't escape it. And even in this little town where he's working with his family, tragedy strikes once again, turning him back into the villain, and seeing once again, they will always see me as a monster. They will always be violent against my people. In driving that difference, where Charles sees the best in people, and he grew up in privilege, and he was able to, he wasn't exploited in the same way. So he's hopeful and optimistic, and you can see how they respect each other so much, and they're torn apart. And those are some of the best villains, where you fully understand where they're coming from and what drove them away from someone that in many ways they get along with so well and they respect so much. But then their different lives, their different paths, you fully understand why they've become a villain. Number 5, Khan from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Now, I am a lifelong Star Trek fan, and like many Star Trek fans, I find Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan to be the best of the Star Trek movies. And some of the reason that's able to be the case is because Khan is a villain from the TV show, that they're able to lay kind of the groundwork, where there was an established relationship with Kirk. And Kirk makes a promise and relates to Khan in a specific way at the end of that episode. And Kirk never follows up on it. He just moves on. And devastating things happen in the time between the episode in the 1960s and when the movie comes out in the 1980s. So obviously, we're hundreds of years in the future in their timeline, but 15-ish years pass, 20-ish years pass, and devastation has happened. And so now, this incredibly intelligent, great foe from the series returns with one goal: vengeance. And you see someone that has all of the skill, capability to just win and be victorious and get away with it. But he's driven by rage and wrath. And in many ways, that's kind of what undoes him a little bit in the film. But just a classic villain that is right in their own eyes. Like, I've been wronged. I have a purpose. I'm this I'm meant for important things. He was literally engineered for grandeur. And so he views himself in that light, and he's been wronged by someone, and he will make that person pay. And so part of even what's so fascinating about it is like the Khan and Kirk are never in the same room together in the film. And he's such a presence, and the movie's played so right that you never even realize that. They're never face to face in the film. They're always communicating over communicators or over screens and stuff like that. And it still works because he's just such a force of nature in the film. In 4th place, Joker from The Dark Knight. Now, The Dark Knight is widely regarded as the best, or one of the best, comic book movies of all time. And one of the reasons for that is just this kind of powerhouse version of the Joker. That is this...
I'm an agent of chaos.
That's filled with contradictions. What, do I seem like a guy with a plan? Well, he very obviously has a plan. And he's a character that is challenging Batman on so many different levels, but his whole goal is to break down the worldview of the Dark Knight and show them how evil the city really is, and that everyone can be turned to be just as crazy and nutty as he is, and just as chaotic as he is.
Why so serious?
And so he's just going through trying to break down the city, and he's able to break down Gotham's White Knight, Harvey Dent, and he's slowly breaking down the Dark Knight, Batman, and he's trying to prove through the classic prisoner's dilemma of which one will do what to the other one if given the kill switch with these two ships with bombs on them, trying to prove that everyone can be corrupted. And so it's not just a villain that's a threat to people, it's a threat to the worldview of our hero. An intellectual and philosophical challenge to our hero and what he stands for and what he wants to do in this city. And of course, adding to that, just Heath Ledger gives this like truly transformative performance. Now, it helps to have a transformative performance when you're unrecognizable because of your hair and makeup. In a particular one that is dressed like a clown, so he disappears into it. But like his voice, his mannerisms, his movement. It's difficult to see the actor that I'd seen in so many films before in this movie. And, when he was cast, a lot of us were really confused. We're like, what? The guy from 10 Things I Hate About You is the Joker? I don't get it, Christopher Nolan. I hope you're right about this. And then you see the movie and you just see this grounded take on the Joker. And it's a movie that, while it gives multiple versions of Joker's origin story,
I stick a razor in my mouth and do this to myself.
that's kind of the point. We don't know. It's chaos. There is no explanation. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Like, it's insanity for insanity's sake. And where some of them, it's so great to have the character has this clear backstory that they think they're right in their own eyes, the person that's close as a friend with our hero, and then Joker is the agent of chaos. Real quick, before I give you my top 3, remember to share your picks down below in the comments section. Also, remember there is that companion video over on Patreon with 10 more of my picks of the best villains of all time. Some of your favorites aren't in this video. They are in that video. Join Patreon at any level. You get that video as well as hundreds of other exclusive edited videos and hundreds of previous live streams that I've done before. There's literally hundreds of hours of exclusive content on Patreon. You can get access to all of it for just as little as $2 per month, $21 per year. And at the top tier, you can do a one-on-one video chat with me. If you ever wanted to talk movies with me, you can if you join on Patreon at the top tier. Link is down below in the description. In third, the Terminator. An unstoppable killing force that you cannot reason with. It will not stop. It does not need to eat, breathe, anything like that. It has a sole objective, and every choice that it makes is to accomplish that mission as efficiently as possible. Merciless, unconcerned with consequences. It has a goal: kill Sarah Connor, and it's going to go through the phone book in order to find Sarah Connor and make that happen. Doesn't matter how many innocent people are killed in the process. Doesn't matter how many police officers are killed in the process. We need to kill Sarah Connor so that John Connor can never be born, and that's his mission. So, of course, Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger in that role was absolutely iconic and just propelled him to superstardom. That he's not just the bodybuilder, he's not just Conan, he's also a great villain, and just kind of course, became his signature role across the decades. But if you continue that out, Robert Patrick, a great follow-up as the T-1000 that isn't just like the hulking Terminator. He's the slender Terminator pretending to be the cop that is so creepy in his own way. And it's just little mannerisms. If Arnold was just the blunt force object, like there's an extra creep factor to Robert Patrick in just even the finger point and the little movements, call to John, and the way that he does it, that just how cold the Terminators can be. Just love it. Our runner-up, Hans Gruber from Die Hard. And in many ways, he's just a classic criminal. And in the movie, they perceive him as a terrorist with this great cause and motive. Nope, that's not Hans Gruber. What? I just want money. This is just a heist. And once again, kind of going back to great villains come in many different forms. And sometimes it's great to have the person that's they're the hero in their own mind, the one that has the tragic backstory, the one that's friends. And then there's just the classic criminal done right. That he's suave, he's elegant, he's intelligent, he has a master plan, he's paying attention, he's able to, in the moment, pivot his plan and shift things around. And there's a reason that Die Hard becomes the masterpiece action movie. All of the pieces are just right. The everyman action hero, the great setup, and then a villain that gets to just be a villain. But he's interesting, and he's fun to watch on screen, and he brings little sequences to life in that way that but people have gone flashier. I tried to add elements to it, but he's the one, and so much Alan Rickman of whatever he brings with his specific brand of charisma and the way that he just brings his villains in particular to life. It's so fun. And that's the magic of Hans Gruber. You can't, like, if you can't turn the character into a checklist and be like, do these things and you'll have a great action movie villain. There's those intangibles that it's just perfectly captured as he is the quintessential heist robber guy pretending to be something else. And coming in at number 1, The Master and the Apprentice, Palpatine, Darth Sidious, and Darth Vader. I am absolutely cheating on this one, but I don't like to include multiple different characters from a franchise in a list like this. And in the case of the nature of the Sith, they kind of go together, and Palpatine is the classic mastermind villain that spends years manipulating a system and growing in legitimate power through politics while manipulating behind the scenes everything that's taking place. And then when he gains power, he has Darth Vader as the muscle to his empire that he has built. And Darth Vader becomes kind of the classic mysterious villain of just this imposing force in... Hey, look, there he is right behind me. This classic imposing force in the original Star Wars that you know so little about him. He's just this dark, quite literal dark being that captures your attention in each of these sequences. And then we slowly learn more about him in Empire Strikes Back and unpack the tragedy that led to this villain in the third film of what it all means. But it's like played out over 3 films to create something you're like, ooh, what is this guy? And then you realize there's a person behind the mask with a backstory. And so the two of them combined just makes for this very holistic, classic villain setup. The mastermind, the muscle, the guy that's pure evil that just wants power, and the hero that turns into the villain. They're both right there, and that's the beauty of Star Wars, of just tapping into these archetypes and understanding the power of intrigue, of mystery, of twists, turns, reveals, and other times, fairly straightforward. That one guy's just evil and wants power and control, and the lust for power pushes him into further and further darkness, and plays that out. Of the look at cinema history, the most visible, the most iconic of villains, it is our Star Wars villains, the Master and the Apprentice, Darth Sidious, Darth Vader. They come in at number 1. I also just happened to watch Revenge of the Sith last night in the theater with my son, so maybe that, biased me just a little bit in what came in at number 1. Remember to share your picks for the best villains of all time down below in the comment section. If you want to see that companion video or support the channel on a greater level, consider joining over on Patreon. The link is down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much.